And of course I have to do these things during the day because the sun is going down now, right? I turned off that spotlight, hard on my eyes. I don't know how he does it, people. Like, seriously, I just did that little video right now, right before this one. And prior to that, I checked on Amari like 5 minutes ago because, you know, I'm getting panic attacks because, you know, it's in the dark and, you know, I'm crowded and, you know, I'm feeling guilty because I'm not downstairs. I'm feeling guilty because I'm not doing that. And I still have to do that. And so, you know, I'm getting kind of little panic attacks here. But anyway, I just checked on him, came in here, said what I had to say. I thought I'd go check on him again, right? I'm going to give him some milk, right, in a minute. And you know what he did? He was laying this way. This way. He was laying this way on the bed, right? I just, not even 10 minutes. Okay, so if he's laying this way. Yeah, he was laying this way. 5 minutes, not even 10 minutes later, he was completely laying this way. Like, I don't know how he did that. I really don't. That's what I mean, he's getting fast. Like, how could he possibly turn himself, he turns his whole body. Okay, so now I'm taking it out of the canner, and while I'm doing that, I'm just going to talk to you for a minute about two things. Okay, guess what Amari did? What do you think? He took off his pants. Well, he didn't really take off his pants, but he had his pants right down to the bottom of his feet. One pant leg was turned inside out and was all twisted up, right? Because, you know, he kicks, right? But through his kicking and everything, he managed to take off his pants. He ripped off his freaking diaper. And he's rolling around in the bed, right? Right? You know, he's aware, right? You know? And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, Murray, did you pee? Like I said, with a child like a Murray, you tend to get a lot of laundry, right? And it seems like he whittled a little bit, not a lot. So whether he did that with intent or he just, whatever, I don't know when he took off that diaper. And like I said, he's been cozy all day, right? He's been moving around and just in his real comfort zone, right? Extremely happy. And because, you know, he had pants on and they weren't real tight around his waist. He managed to pull them down and kick them like that, where one leg came, like, I guess he tried to pull out his leg or something, and one leg was completely turned inside out, but because of the kicking, it was twisted. And, right? As a matter of fact, I don't even know where his diaper is. I just got him dressed and want to finish, so I got to go find that diaper because he took off his diaper. And I guess he threw that. He probably threw it, people. Right? So, there you go. I guess you could say that's a new milestone. Right? After he had his bath today, I let him just lay on the bed for a while. Just kind of loosely wrapped up with his towel. And I gave him some privacy. Right? So that, you know, he discovers his body and what it feels like to lay on a bed with really no clothes on. I mean, everybody likes to do that at some point. I try and give him experiences that other people have, right? So that, you know, he has a quality of life that's enjoyable. And so he laid like that for, you know, a while because the house was warm, right? And then I dressed him. And then I fed him. You've seen that video. And then because he had pants on that weren't tight, you don't want to make it tight, right? And he managed to get him off for the most part. And then take off his diaper and probably threw that across the room. It's in there somewhere, which I need to go find. So, what did we learn from this? We learned that even though it looks like it's burnt, doesn't necessarily mean that it tastes burnt, okay? If anything, you created yourself a secret spice that you could use every now and then in with your meals. It's simple to store. Just put it in your freezer after the fact. But before you close the lid tight, just freeze it without the rim so that if it should swell, it's not going to crack your jar. And then once it's frozen, then you can put that on, assuming that it hasn't overpassed the rim, right? Okay? And when you need it, you just come with a little spoon, and it's just like ice cream. Just scoop out what you need and use it as flavor, people. You're not cooking with it, but you're spicing things up with it. I can see myself doing that with that. And then feed it to somebody. They'll be like, what is that? What kind of spice are you using? And you can say, well, it's my secret spice. Right? And then it's like anything. It takes a little while to learn how to do it. So when we do it again, we know what to watch for. We know how fast it can bubble up, and we know why. Right? Okay. Now the other thing that I just want to say, and this is how I'm going to end this video because it's a long video, but it was worth it. Okay, no regrets. I'm sure it inspired you in one way or another, right? If not to do it for yourself, but to keep it in mind for a day when you might, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now the other thing is, you know I go through a lot in life, people. It's been like that my whole life. You don't even know. And for whatever reason, I've got fairly good coping skills. And I've never gone mad. Mad as in insane mad. Even though I'm being tortured. Because I go through a form of torture throughout my life with just things that happen to my family, right? Okay, we know that, right? And I've never felt a time I've never felt a time when I thought I could go insane, as in mad. Yesterday, with this light situation and with what's going on with my freaking eyes, oh boy. By evening time, I don't know. I don't want to say I was raging, but if I was to go mad as in insane, that's probably the closest I ever got was yesterday towards the evening, because I'm having to cope with this shit, right? And when I went downstairs to go get the butter and do whatever and tell my son I just have to do this first before I can really focus on the basement, and I'm sorry I left things in the hall, and blah blah blah, and I'm feeling guilty and typical just whatever, right? And he could tell I was agitated, like extremely agitated. He goes, what's the matter, Mom? Are you sure you're okay? You okay, Mom? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just like, I feel like I'm going fucking mad, like insane with this situation, because it's not just that, people, right? Like it's the freaking sink underneath the sink dripping, and it overflowed, and it's getting just whatever, right? It's just fucking, I'm sick of it, man. I'm so sick of it. But it's not that simple. I can't just move out and go rent another house, because property owners have found a way to price gouge and capitalize off of the immigrants that are coming into the country, being supported by federal and provincial governments to replace families like mine, as we get pushed out into the street with nothing, right? How am I going to afford $4,000 for the same kind of house and have to start all over again with leaky pipes and outlets that don't work and just the whole 9 yards? I went through a lot of shit when I first moved into this house. And I still go through shit. And people are like, I know what people are thinking. Well, your landlord's supposed to fix it. I don't want to talk bad about my landlords, people. I try to avoid it because if the Punjabis catch wind that you're talking bad about them in terms of their shady fucking practices sometimes, you know, they don't even want to acknowledge that they're harvesting organs in terms of the Punjabi doctors out here, right? Oh, you're crazy. No, I'm not fucking crazy. If I was crazy, I wouldn't have filed a lawsuit, people. Okay? Like, right? You know, why you got all the money? Why you got all the fucking houses? Why do you guys live to 110 years old? There must be a reason for it. Well, I know the reason because I fucking live it. Right? Oh, I was in Punjabi houses when I was 8 years old with my mother, for crying out loud. So some of it I understand, and other of it, but it's just gotten to the point where, you know, like, if you say something, you talk out, and, you know, it's like you get punished for it. The more you expose, show the truth, tell the truth, or stand up for yourself, or whatever the fuck it is, the more you get punished. You don't like it, you can move. Take it as is. I'm not fixing anything, you pay for it if you want to live there. Right? Right? You know, have their son come and insult me in my front yard after I gave up my fucking life for that yard. Basically, I haven't sewed in years and years and years and years and years and years because I was in the fucking yard trying to please my landlords. Right? Right? When they're the ones going to make all the money, and the yard's going to be insignificant, the house is going to be insignificant because the only thing that's going to make the real money is the fucking land. And then when they build in whatever it is that they build, some of it will sit empty for months and months and months and months and months and months and months, like that shit over there that's completely fucking empty, even though it was done last summer. Okay, you do the math on that one. How can you finish a building in the summertime and 1 year later it's still practically empty? Okay, right? And it's not like I would want to live there because one, it's going to be too small. Right? Everybody running around with their noses up in the air because they own a freaking condo. Right? It's not even a townhouse. It's just some square box stacked on top above a box that apparently has a problem in the basement with flooding, to which they pump out with a sump pump that goes down the alley, pools in my fucking garage, and is changing the foundation in my house, which makes my landlord happy because when it comes time to tear down the place, you know, who cares? Right? The faster it deteriorates, the faster they can tear it down, so why fix it? Right? They're gonna make their $2 million off of it. Right? This house, this duplex over here, right? Not the house next door with a mean bastard. That guy next door is kind of mean too, right? But the one over there with the duplex, the woman that lived there in the basement, it was a duplex cut into 4, right? She came in here and gave me a whole bunch of beans one time, like, you know, Heinz beans in a can, right? And was telling me she was thinking about moving out because the owner of that duplex sold it to a Punjabi, right? And the son came by and did a fast one on her, just like my landlord's son came by and did a fast one on me. And told her to get the fuck out, and he wanted more money, and blah, 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 blah. And she got all scared and everything, and blah. And she ended up phoning the owner, the father of the son, talked to him, and the father was the one who told his son to back off and leave her be. That the son was being hasty and didn't know what he was doing. Now, whether she still lives there or not, I don't know. But it was like deja vu after I thought about it when my landlord's son showed up, told me he was going to start throwing all my shit in the fucking bin, insulted me, said that I was a hoarder, even though some of that hoarding is to ensure that I can pay his rent. I don't know what happened there. It kind of blinked out, blinked on. I don't know. Maybe it's running low on battery. Maybe I should go plug this in.
Want some cheese?
No. I'm trying to see if this has low on battery. Here, I'm going to go sit down for a minute. My feet are killing me. Just wait. Okay, so I was just going to finish this video because, like I said, I've gone through a lot of fucking shit in my life. And I've put up with a lot of shit in this house. Do you know what it's like having people come by, fix things, and they're not fixed? Right? Correctly? You know how many times that's happened here? Quite a few people. Yeah, I guess it was the battery. I came over here to plug it in and I forgot. I'm so riled up with just thinking about it. Because, you know, it's like Uncle John said, they keep you fucking fighting so that you implode on the inside. And then that's how they pick us apart, people. Right? I mean, like, and I'm not trying to talk bad about my landlords, but, you know, I wonder if they bought, I really do wonder if they bought that duplex over there and it was their son who went and did that to that woman, just like maybe he came over here and then he did it to me. And if it wasn't their son who did that, why is it that the sons are doing this but not the fathers? I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand that because it's not like my landlords don't know my circumstances. Okay? I haven't gone out of my way to harm them outside of preventing them from making $4,000 a month before they tear it down and sell it for $2 million. Okay? Do you understand? Right? But I get punished for it. I get punished because I can't keep up with that fucking rent gouging that's being, it's worse than a Monopoly game. Okay? Because it's connived. It's connived, people. Right? You know? The wealthier get wealthier, and that's all that seems to be important, because for how long have I been in the dark? Now, I can't, I suppose if I dialed up my landlady's phone number and my landlord's phone number, somebody might answer the phone, but I don't know what kind of response I'm going to get, because it's not like I haven't been fucking asking for fucking over a year to do something with these lights. And same thing with this underneath the sink. Okay? Right? And I'm waiting on Tisha's boyfriend, Alex, to do underneath the sink, but, you know, I may have to pay for that depending on what he has to do, people. And I'm really not in the position for that, because he'd probably have to use his truck, the work truck. And once he uses the work truck, right, and if he's got to change pipes, that's a receipt that I have to pay for. And then I have to approach my landlady on it. And then I get gaslighted because I'm costing her money for a house that she doesn't want. And she only lets me stay here because she feels sorry for me. But at the same time, I'm suffering, right? She offers to help me with my eyes, but she won't let these guys that come in here and do this and do that, and half the time of what they do, they fucking don't even do it right, where they have to come back like that water tank. Same group of fucking guys. They light up in my face, said they weren't here before the last time they were here and something was going on, right? You know, they're the ones that did the freaking bathroom pipe, to which I'm thinking there's a problem underneath there, people. Honest to God, because Tisha's room has this smell about it, and I'm trying to talk to Alex to come by and help me to distinguish from where it's coming from. And he's saying, well, it might be coming from the pee pipe, as if I know what the fuck a pee pipe is. But if it's coming from underneath what they did when they ripped out that freaking mainline pipe after they broke it because they were changing the pipe in the bathroom, to which it didn't do anything. We just had the sink back up because of what's going on with just the way the pipes are in this house. And he had to come and snake that, and he snaked it for me for free. Right? Remember, I couldn't do my dishes, couldn't do laundry until Alex showed up and snaked it out, which didn't cost my landlady nothing. Same thing the last time that happened. It happens every year, every fucking year, like clockwork. Right? I paid for that last year. This year he did it to me for free, but he hasn't come back to go underneath the sink, when in fact that sink has been needing to be done in the last freaking 5 to 6 months. My shit that goes underneath the sink is sitting in boxes on the floor by the sink and one by the fridge. And then when she gets her guys to come in and do something, they come in, they don't respect the fact that I do food prep. they go back and run and say, oh, she's a hoarder, right? Because she's got too much stuff. The only reason they don't want me to have too much stuff, people, is because then it would be easy to kick me out and grab what little stuff I have, right? And throw it in a fucking bin and lock me out and say, "C'est la vie, fuck off. I don't ever want to see you again." Lots of people out here are being treated like that. But they'd have to get a whole fucking 10 bins. And they'd be breaking up a whole lot of fucking jars. Not that I did it with malicious intent, people. There was no malicious intent. The deal was, move in, take it now, we'll never raise the rent, stay as long as you want. Did I ask Uncle John to be medically kidnapped? No. Did I ask freaking Shimei to be murdered? No. Did I ask Andre to be illegally and wrongfully apprehended? No. Did I ask Sierra to go through what Sierra went through? No. I didn't ask for any of that. It was other people around me that made that shit happen. Right? As I live in, I don't want to say squalor, but it's not far from it when you're fucking going literally insane because of the lighting. It was bad enough that I had to live 11 years under fluorescent lights and be asking for the last several years to change those lights. I tried to find people to do it for me, willing to pay them myself to do it. Then she offered to pay back the $150 after I found somebody to do it. But I can't find anybody to do it. And then the people that were her people, the ones that, like to break things when they're fixing things and then come back and fix it and then blame me fucking for it because they had to come back because they're so busy. Because all they do is work in new houses and an old house isn't worth it. Right? And then they go and they're trying to figure out how to fucking get rid of me, right? Oh, well, you're this and yeah. Yeah, well, what did you say to that woman over there in her little fucking suite when you guys wanted to kick her out? Same damn shit. You either pay more rent or get the fuck out. And she ended up phoning, supposedly, the new owner, the dad, and he got his son to back off. But she said she was going to move anyway because she was disgusted with it. Well, good for her. She could move. I can't. I'm not in a position to move right now. But I get punished for being here, people. Underneath the sink, to me, is like a fucking punishment. Not getting these fucking lights fixed is like a punishment. Having these same fucking guys come in, knowing what I know, because I've been dealing with them for fucking years, okay? Just like when they did the bathroom, toilet in the bathroom, it was fucking leaking for months. Down into the shower, into the basement. It took months to get it fucking fixed, and when it finally got fixed, it still wasn't fucking fixed right. Then they had to come back and fucking tweak the job, get it right, blah, right, right? Same thing with the pipe in the fucking bathroom with the sink. They fixed the pipe. It's still, had to call them back in, had to do it again because they don't care. And the whole time they're bitching on about me. Not because I'm a bad tenant, not because I don't pay my fucking rent, not because my heart's not in the right spot. My God, I only spent my whole life, last 11 years, 10 years, in your fucking yard, right? To keep, when in fact it was never once, not even my responsibility to do it, but I did it anyway, because it was nothing more than a fucking weed pit full of freaking mud and sand and raccoon shit. That was it, going to my videos. But I don't care. I don't fucking care. So, my landlady's out of town. Okay, whatever. Same with her husband, landlord. And, sending in the granddaughter. I've met her. She's nice. But at the end of the day, it's not like I can ask her, like, Jesus Christ, I can't fucking see. I'm going, like, literally insane. My son, are you okay? Yeah, I am. But I feel like I'm going insane. If I was to ever go fucking insane, this would be it. Because it's just getting to be too much. I'm waiting, I'm asking, right? And it's just hard to cope with, people. And if I talk about it like I am now, it's going to get out somewhere in the community that I'm picking on the Punjabis. I'm picking on the Punjabis. And then it's just going to open me up for more fucking punishment. That's all. That's why I don't talk about it very much. I'm trying to be brave. I'll get up there on fucking Saturday, assuming that Tisha can come. The one Saturday she was supposed to come, she couldn't because her friend was being beat by some guy, and that took up that day. And then last Saturday, she came, but I needed to go get rent from my bank through a bank machine. So I had to go out, and since I was out, I thought, well, gee, I don't get out very much. I like to go to a store and see what it looks like. And I bought a few things, right? So that didn't happen. And she can't come back till Saturday because I want her to come without the kids so that we can just focus on this shit. And it's got to be during the day because it's too dark in the evening, and we already know what's going on with my eye. Like, this eye is like, I can tell you, people, this eye is half blind already. Everything half. It's all dark. It's either dark or it gets real cloudy. One or the other. Can't see. I only got really one functioning eye, and even then. So, you know, it's like I just feel like I just feel like I was born to be punished by other people, by abusive fucking people. Because I've been putting up with shit my whole fucking life, people. And if I was to ever go insane in my 60 years because of it, it would have been yesterday. I was so livid. I was so mad. I was so disgusted. I was so disappointed. I was so everything negative that if I was to go insane, it would have been yesterday. In terms of how do people go insane? How do people go insane? What makes them go insane? I don't know. Torture. Torture makes them go insane, people. That's what happened to Sierra. Sierra was fucking tortured. Tortured out in the street and all this other shit, and it just made her go insane. I'm like so mad. I'm over it now, though. As you see, I had a good day. I actually canned ghee. I had to turn off those spotlights, though, because I can only handle them for so long. They're not really that effective. But it was better that I had them on, doing what I was doing, versus not have them, because I don't think I could have done it. Right? So now, I don't have to worry about that whipping cream for a few days, and I can focus on other things, but I really need to get to an eye doctor. I need to get my disability form filled out, but that won't happen until I get a referral to go see a specialist, and once the specialist sees my eyes, I don't know. I will get fucking lectured. That's what. Okay? I won't get sympathy. I won't get nothing other than, well, you know, you should have done this, and you should have, and you did it to yourself, and blah, and if you don't listen to me, and then he's going to give me some fucking eye drops that are going to, who knows? Who knows, people? My nose runs more, right? You know what I'm saying? And, like, it doesn't really help. Right? I go see eye doctor, like, within a week, I can tell. And my eyes, like, they deteriorate just from the pressure. They put like, 2 bottles of fucking freezing in my eyes. So I'm spitting out big green gobs. Punjabis, right? Big green gobs. 2 of them, okay? As I'm leaving the eye doctor. That's why I don't want to go back to that particular freaking clinic. Eye doctor. Because it was done on purpose, people. It was done on purpose. Okay? But I'm willing to do it again because there's not too many choices. I don't have any choices. I'm not trying to be racist in terms of the doctor that I see. So I'm going to give my landlord's doctor a chance in terms of a specialist. Because I am nervous going back to that other specialist, right? Because just nothing, eyes were just getting worse, and you know, I didn't appreciate spitting out big green gobs of freezing agent. No wonder why my eyes were getting worse. They weren't getting better, right? I'll probably have to go for cataract surgery. 1 eye at a time. That's going to be great, working in the yard, picking up Amari. I'm not supposed to pick up anybody or anything for a month or 2, but how's that going to work, people? Like, I'm hooped. I'm so fucking hooped. And then have to deal with this because, like I said, I can't, even if I mentioned it to the granddaughter, What's she gonna do? Go tell her dad? The one that doesn't like me, even though my landlord says that he's not a bad person and that he's actually quite nice? And if that's the case, even if he had those guys come, even though they were supposed to come a year ago, right? Just coming in with bad attitude. They'll be like, oh my God, you should see. Yeah, well, they don't acknowledge that I didn't have to buy milk today, people. You understand? What if I had to go off and buy milk and take that from the freaking rent? Sorry, Mrs. Gill, Mr. Gill, I couldn't pay rent because I have to buy $200 worth of milk a month, right? Because, the cost of living's gone up. And I've got, a disabled child that really needs it, and so does Andre, I should say. 2 growing children. I don't have to worry about it, people. I already got it. So my rent is covered. This is what I said. When I was doing the food prep, I was really thinking about my landlords, right? Knowing that rent came first. And how do you think I feel when I do that to turn around and be mistreated and not appreciated and seen as a burden instead? And something to get rid of one way or another by any means necessary. And if you don't fix things, sooner or later you're just going to get tired and get the fuck out. Or if you do fix things, it takes a long, long, long time to do it. And there's consequences around it because, it just opens you up for criticism. Especially from people who don't like you. And the people that she gets coming in here doing these repairs, they don't like me. Because I don't have $4,000 to give to the clan. To the clan people. And therefore, I will always be abused. And that, knowing all that, and keeping it inside and not talking about it. Because if you talk about it, you get punished. So now I'm waiting for punishment for speaking out against the Punjabis. Because the Punjabis don't do anything wrong. They're the moral compass of society because they have so much wealth among themselves that it kind of defeats the purpose, right? But yeah, yesterday I came close to going insane because of this situation. Between the sink, the lights, the door, and just the porch rotting out and the whole 9 yards. Right? I gotta try and do fucking porch repairs yet. Wait till you see the porch now that it's warming up. Okay? Like, I don't expect them to do it. They expect me to do it. And I don't know how to do it. But I will do the best that I can. And hopefully by Saturday, I'll have a better light in the kitchen. Right? And I'll just make an effort to try and get to the eye doctor. I have to go to just a normal walk-in clinic and just have them look at my eyes. And I guess they can give me a referral because I can't go to my Ukrainian family doctor, right? Because, I'm supposed to take him to court, right? Yeah, right. So it's not even like I could go get a referral from him. I could only get it maybe from the eye specialist. No, sorry, the eye clinic. And then it could take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, who knows, to be able to get in. Unless, of course, they'd be saying, well, you need to go to emergency. And I'll be like, anytime I've ever been in this situation, that's all I ever heard, and I never went. And I've heard it a lot. So if that's what you feel, then you need to phone up that specialist and have me go see him ASAP. That would be the only way. Other than that, I'll just have to wait until I get my time to see the eye specialist, and then we'll just see how it goes. Right? But despite all of that... What? What is that? Cheese?
Yeah, cheese.
Oh, that's okay. I don't want it.
Just because I don't want to cook.
Huh?
I said I don't want to cook.
You don't want to cook?
Yeah, because I'm not in the mood to cook right now.
Oh, okay.
I was going to make some noodles, but like, nah.
Okay. Well, you're doing good. Yeah, almost went insane yesterday. But I bounced back. Now we're going to go look at my jars, and we're going to end it. Because I don't even know if I showed you already. So hold on a minute. Okay. So, there we go. Can you see? Look at that. Now this, I don't think you have to turn up and down as if it was butter, because you took out the solids already. Otherwise, if you were canning butter, all those solids would drop to the bottom. Okay? And being that there's not too much in there, it says charge the battery pack. So, end of this video, people. Peace out. Okay, I haven't put this what I've done on my computer yet. I had to clear out some files, so this is going to be the end of the video because it's the next morning, right? And what I found is 4 jars didn't seal, okay? And it probably had something to do with the grease, because you have to remember, when the food is in the pressure canner, what the pressure canner does is it pushes out the air, right? And sometimes you get siphoning, and that's that overflow of liquid normally. But in this case, it would have been grease. That's why they say take off as much fat as you can when you're canning meat, because the grease will be forced out with the air, right? Just because of, I guess, dynamics and the molecule structure of it, or just like with liquid, and unlike juice, you know, grease is greasy. So the only thing that I could think to maybe solve this problem, not that you could ever solve it, right, is to try and talk more to some Punjabi women as I'm out and about, and just randomly ask them if they know anything about canning ghee. and if they do, how do they do it in their households, right, for long-term storage? Because as it is, even though this didn't can, from my understanding, this is shelf stable for at least a year, people. Preferably put it in the fridge, because then it extends the life of it, right? But as is, it can sit out for the most part, right? Obviously, these will stay longer because they're sealed. But that's not to say they're not going to pop at some point because of the grease under the rim, right? Which reminds me, I still have that jar of chicken in my fridge that I opened up, and because when I canned it, I had used a older rim lid, you know, from back in the day that had never been used, but it was an older model, and it had a thicker rubber, and because it was from 2014, when I popped the jar, clearly it was sealed. It didn't smell bad, it didn't necessarily look bad, but because of the way the rim was, it's still sitting in my fridge, because I planned on not eating it, boiling it, and then, you know, disposing of it, right? It depended on how it came out of the jar, whether it looked like it was edible, because when I popped the jar, it was clearly sealed. You could hear it. But when I looked under the rim, it just didn't look normal. But then it was an older rim with thicker rubber. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, these ones, after I wash the jars with warm soapy water, rinse them off, let them dry, you know, I'm going to put nutty ghee. So you know it tastes nutty, because we know what I did. Okay? The camera seems to be picking up better in terms of the lighting than the way I'm looking at things. The way I'm looking at things with my eyes, it's looking very dark, because I just got this, right? For the most part, in daylight, and that little light hanging up there. And that's not very much light. So, but when I look at the videos, they seem to be coming out not too bad. Now that it's cooled, what I'm noticing is it's not as dark as it was looking when I put it in the jar. Okay, remember how dark it looked? It looked really dark. Okay, I haven't even attempted to clean the bottom of my pan yet. All right, but if worst comes to worst, I'll use Uncle John's trick and I'll just let it sit with some bleach. First, I'm going to try some water and maybe try and boil it off first. But if that doesn't work, then I'm going to use bleach because it's, it's scorched, right? But when it's in the jar and it does this, solidifies, you complete difference in look in terms of color. Okay? As a matter of fact, I put those little spicy things into the freezer. So let me go get one. Hold on. Okay, I don't know what the lighting is like, but anyway, I'm trying to make it so that I can see, and I'm hoping you can see better, but besides that point. So when I put it in, okay, before it was frozen, because I didn't know what it would do, right? I didn't know it was going to expand and crack the jar. Obviously, it didn't, okay? Now, but before you put your lid on real tight, you have to put this on, and if you want, you can just have that very loose. So if for whatever reason it started to expand, and then it came time to close the jar properly and it didn't fit, you could scrape it off. But besides that point. So anyway, here this is. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. Just starting my day. Okay. Being that we're just using this as a spice, that would be the only reason I would use it. And I'm almost tempted to try it today. Seriously. I'm just trying to decide what I want to cook. Like, I got broccoli that I could boil up, right, with some butter. Or coconut. Maybe I could do that. I don't know. It kind of defeats the purpose when you add butter to add butter spice, right? You don't want to use the butter because this is just if you didn't have butter, but you wanted a little buttery flavor with a tad bit of salt in it, this would be perfect, right? And then you could, use your coconut oil or olive oil, instead of using butter, right? Butter. You could use olive oil to replace the butter and then add this in just to add more taste in broccoli versus just using butter by itself if you didn't have butter. So, it was pretty easy to get out. And being that it's so salty and it's grainy like spice, right? Depending on what you're making. Okay, here's a piece. I'm going to taste it right now. There's nothing wrong with it, people. And you put it in your mouth, and even before you really taste the salt, you get overwhelmed with the creaminess of butter. I don't know how to explain it. Like, seriously, you don't want to throw this away. You want to work with it. And then you just go like that, and then into your food, put your lid back on, and throw it back in the freezer, and you're good to go. Just make sure that each time you use something to it's clean. I'd go as far as to say you could probably even leave it in the fridge itself, but for how often you would use it and why you would use it, I just think it makes more sense to leave it in the freezer, right? And then just take it from there. So this wasn't so bad in terms of, I don't feel like I lost anything with it. Okay? This wasn't so bad because there's truth to what they say, that if you overcook it, it just ends up tasting more nuttier. Like I would have had to cook it. I don't know how much longer I would have had to cook it in order to really burn it, because in light of the way that pot ended up looking like it was being burnt, and this stuff looking like it was being burnt, and even the liquid, when it was in a liquid form, looked like it was being burnt. Myself, personally, I don't, nothing burntness stands out with it outside of, at the end, after you go through the different tastes, when you put it into your mouth, it's almost like, you know, you were at a barbecue. You know how they have charcoal spice? It's not quite a charcoal spice. I have charcoal spice in here that gives you that, just, I don't know, that, but it's not where it's like, ew, I don't like it. It's just something that, it's like a nitrate. If you you eat nitrates with the hot dogs and processed meats and what is that, sausages and those kind of things. Everybody knows too much nitrates is not good for you, and this is what I try to tell Andre. But he loves it, and so do I, right? But it's in moderation. Well, it's the same kind of stuff, right? It's kind of addicting. I could see where it could become kind of addicting, right? So all in moderation, and how you want to blend it into your foods. Some foods you could add a little more to get just that buttery, creamy flavor without the butter that leaves a bit of an aftertaste of like as if you were in a barbecue. You know? Okay, so in terms of the 4 jars not sealing, is that normal? I don't know. It makes me lean towards, well, you see, now I'm thinking, right? Now I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, you got to take it a step further, because when I'm working with these dietitians and stuff, right, with Amari, they look for the calories. They get a lot of the calories through the fat, through the milk, and like not so much the milk, but the cheese, the cottage cheese, the butter, those kind of things. I've been obviously trying to bring in different fats because I did the coconut butter, which isn't really got a lot of fat in it compared as it does to fiber, right? And I'm trying to introduce more coconut oil just into everyday kitchen use. Some oils, like this one, is okay. It doesn't interfere with food when you're frying with it. But this one I find too overwhelming with the coconut. And because we're not real coconut lovers, it's not something that I'm like gung-ho to use on a regular basis. I'm trying to work around it by bringing in things like this, right? So that I have a choice and I'm not always stuck with just one oil to fry potatoes in, just for example. And I don't really want to store oil, like just general cooking oil, that kind of thing, in their tubs for long term, for any length of time, because one, I've already got some, so I don't really need to buy more and add more when I'm not even, up for it. I'd rather have the pork fat, to which I can differently. And now that I'm doing this, what is the difference between pork fat and cow's milk? How is it that you don't necessarily have to pressure can pork fat where you can bring it to a boil, put it in sterilized jars, right? And then, turn it upside down, leave it 15 minutes, and with that comes the sterilization of the lid. And then because it's so hot inside, flip it over. It's just a matter of time before it seals itself, and it does. And then people take that and put that up on their shelves and find that it works fine for them, but it wasn't pressure canned. Now, I did mine like that, but instead of leaving mine on the shelves, I took it one step further, and I put them in the back of Auntie Shemay's fridge in jars. And I gave to my son. But even still, it's, it could be on the counter, right? In terms of, like it could be. But because I didn't pressure can it, I didn't quite feel comfortable enough. But if this is what happens, when you pressure can animal fats, whether it's pork fat or cow's milk that has fat in it, that's a lot of fat in cow's milk, people. Kind of makes you wonder. And then the other thing I was thinking too, speaking of wondering, it would be almost interesting to have that grainy stuff tasted. Because where are the trace elements of the calciums and those kind of things coming from in the cow's milk? Calcium is, it's a mineral. So I bet you in that little jar, there's a whole lot of calcium in there, because the calcium would come together, and maybe that, like, what's making it so gritty, right? That's common when you do this stuff. Is it the trace elements that your body needs in order to, like the zinc and the calcium and those kind of things? And also, what other trace elements are going into the milk as the cow is eating the food, in terms of, well, what about that nanotechnology or whatever it is that when people do their videos and they got a raw piece of meat and they take a magnet and they stick it on the freaking meat and the magnet sticks, or they move it around the package and it doesn't stick over here but it sticks over there, and they do it on raw meat too, right? I haven't done that yet to see if my meat does that. That's why I like my older cans of meat, because I don't think that if that's what's going on today, I don't think that older meat has that problem. And is it a problem? What's coming in down from the rains? What are these cows ingesting that ultimately we're all ingesting ourselves? Is that what's being boiled out of the butter before you get ghee? It'd be interesting to test that to see what kind of trace elements are in it. And if the ghee itself has any trace elements, because that would be more reason to keep this if that's where all the calcium went to after you processed it. And then I'm thinking, I'm going to end it now. Okay. Well, with the women, that the dietitians, right? They were like, build up his fat content, build up his fast content. They want me to give him 2,900 calories a day. It's impossible. Okay, it's impossible. And when I use those drinks, well, that's just not appropriate. It doesn't work. Okay. I mean, like, since I've taken him off those drinks, I can almost say that he's even more active. Okay, like in the last 3 days, I don't know. We went through it. I explained to you what's been going on. Okay? Is it because of what I've been doing? Or is it just nature taking its course? Tammy and her friend, they said children like Amari are developmentally delayed. So is this just a developmental delayness that's coming past its milestone and he's going to the next level just by default? Or is it because I've removed these drinks and I'm replacing them with different fat sources and food combinations that are just helping with his growth, period, in general, right? And if that's the case, because as I do this, I always worry, well, if I keep stuffing him every day with coconut butter, which I don't, because after a while, those saturated fats, the good fats and the bad fats, which I know nothing about. And then when I go and I approach these women and I say, well, I don't know, I'm like, I don't want to give him, I don't want to give him a heart attack later on in life because I pumped him full of butter, right? And they're like, oh, he's too young, but don't worry about that. And I'm like, okay. But I still want to bring in a balance of different kind of fats. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So we've got the coconut butter. That's the coconut oil. We've got butter. I very seldom use shortening, and if I was to ever use shortening, it would probably be for a cake and nothing more than a cake. Lard I like. I like lard, okay? And you can bake with it. I like it. I like it homemade and I like it store-bought. I like it both. I like doing a lot of my, just whatever. So anyway, I like lard. I use lard for making pie crusts. You know, if I'm making penne and I need to rub the flour with, it's lard. You don't actually use shortening. You actually use lard. I like to fry in lard. I prefer frying in lard before I do shortening. That's why I'm building on my lard supply. And this is all new to me, but we're going to find out in the next day or two, because I have these that, which ones? These ones. I didn't pressure can these ones because they were in the bowl and it was getting late. And so I'm going to give one to Tisha, one to Mercane I've got here. And we're all going to try it and see if we like it, see who likes it, see who doesn't. And then as I learn to use it, I won't be so reliant just on either oil from a bottle, which I don't use very much, because I personally don't like sauteing and doing those kind of things too much with oil. That's why my oil just tends to sit. I've got oil that I ended up taking and repouring it into other containers so that if and when the lights should ever go out, we've got backup lantern oil, okay? But I wouldn't say that we'd ever congest it, because, consume it, because it's been around for so long. But after I get all caught up, we're going to make some homemade lanterns, and then we're going to pull out that old oil that's specifically being saved for that, and we're going to experiment and see if it works, to which I hear it does. This will last longer than oil in a jug. That's why I'm doing it. So now I just have to find some Punjabi women that know how to can it properly. Or maybe I did can it properly, and that's just the way it works. How many jars sealed and how many jars didn't? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 jars sealed, 4 jars didn't. Huh? I guess that's okay, right? All right. So, not a bad experience. I think I learned a lot. Okay? I'm more confident now for the next run. Okay?